fellow Sompers. Welcome to another Somp Saturday. Thank you for joining us from wherever you're joining in the galaxy. As always, this is your co-host Ashton, joined by my co-host Tim Griesbach.
Yes, sir.
Kind of rusty on that one.
You're doing great, man. No worries.
Thank you for the kind words, Tim. Yeah, everyone, this is going to be an Acolyte focused episode. There's a lot to talk about. We haven't addressed it officially on the show, so we're going to do that here as part of our regular Somp Saturday show, and also talk about some other fun stuff. So, well, fun stuff. Yeah. Unless you have like a musical experience of the week.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I played somehow Bounty Hunter because I don't have PS5. It's at Sabrina's house and I couldn't play Outlaws. And for the remote play, you have to be in the same network as the PlayStation is to play it actually on remote. So like you can see imagine a tiny tear here.
Yeah.
And I've been listening to last week was the train day is over. We have been the marching band for the parade of the 501st German Garrison.
Yeah.
So that's off the hook.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I've been listening a lot to what we're talking about today because it's a lot to catch up to.
It's a lot. I'm honestly in preparation. I'm not all the way through everything.
Yeah, same. I was about to
just
text you like we should have split it up.
We can. I mean, yeah, whatever.
At the same time, it's best to like have the same to that we listen to the same music and have maybe different opinions or general impressions.
Yeah, I think what we should do is we'll keep it all to this one episode. We can probably do another, revisiting the Acolyte episode down the road, but yeah, let's just keep it this, and we're going to be opening up the Q&A thing soon. So we'll get some submissions there that we can start tackling, as well as we both of us have our own kind of agenda items we'd like to focus on for an episode or two. So yeah, gonna be pretty exciting stuff. These fall months coming up here.
True. So what's your musical experience of the week?
Yeah, so mine is I got to watch my cousin Storm stream on Twitch Outlaws, and so I got to experience that, and like I was just like really paying attention to the music cues, and he was showing me like all the different it's cool to like where he's at so far, like hearing where he's at so far, like hearing the source music that's in there, where he's at so far, and yeah, like just the different underscoring and like suspenseful cues. It was just cool to like see it in action, I guess, to like watch that gameplay. So that was pretty fun. That was like over the weekend. Yeah, so
sweet.
Because
I have actually some more musical experience, but it's not Star Wars related, so I skipped it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Nice, dude. Yeah, I mean that's like everyone knows. I don't have a console myself, so like I get my video game fix off of gameplay, and it's fun to like watch it. Watch someone streaming it. It's fun, interact with them and stuff.
If the person is fun, yeah.
Yeah, and it's cool to hang out with my cousin Storm.
Sweet.
We have a lot in common.
It's a dope name, by the way.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah.
Is he from Florida as well?
Actually, no, polar opposite. He's from Washington State.
Oh.
Yeah. They're like in my dreams state weather-wise, compared to Florida.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. Like their summers are like our winters down here.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
You should pay me a visit.
Yeah, actually, I need to. Yeah. Actually, maybe for a non-disclosure agreement, we can talk about this off
the record,
off the line. He is in the gaming industry. I'll put it that way.
Oh, man.
So pretty cool
Dope.
stuff. Pretty cool stuff. Well, I
Let's jump right
guess
in.
let's just jump right the freak in.
Full spoiler alert, last week was our sound effects episode. And today we're going to talk about the music of the Acolyte. Full
Yeah.
soundtrack,
Yeah.
all the way. 3 hours of music.
It's just it's so much music. I mean,
Hmm.
it's the most music for any given
Show, right?
thing that I think we've ever had. I mean, besides video games,
Hmm.
but certainly in competition with video game soundtracks, which are massive. Like this is
Hmm.
so much music. You know, like if you go to look up Revenge of the Sith, which is the longest Star Wars film, I think. Maybe Tross is, I don't
No,
know.
it's Last Jedi.
Oh, is it The Last Jedi?
Yeah, it's
Not The
it's
Rise of
more.
Skywalker?
No, I am
Oh
pretty
wow.
sure it's Last Skywalker. Yeah.
The Last Skywalker. Um so, well, yeah, whatever the longest film is, The Last
Mhm.
Jedi, I guess. Look up the soundtrack and like, okay,
But
it's
we've been spoiled in movies anyways for like 90 minutes of music for a
yeah,
movie. Pretty dope.
right.
Pretty
I mean,
much.
yeah, like that's a lot of music to begin with, but this
Hmm.
is just like unprecedented with what they've done with the Acolyte. Like so much music. And all of
And
it
so
like
many like 2 minute cues, right?
yeah, a lot of 2 minute cues, some even shorter, I think,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean it's like 100 tracks and just so much music and so good. Um
It is so funny to see. I think I mentioned that earlier, but to see the like describing some cues without spoiling it by the title.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally.
There are a few of them, and it's pretty funny. And
Yeah.
I instantly thought of a new Star Wars story movie, Basil and Pip Strike Back. That's a dope title.
Yeah, dude. Yes. Oh man. I like Beach Walk. Like just
Hmm.
some of these tracks are just pretty funny. Um yeah, dude. So, yeah, I guess yeah, I mean maybe maybe you can start with some takeaways, some highlights.
Hmm. So in general, so I listened last yesterday and today to maybe the last, no, the middle third,
Mhm.
and the music is pretty dark in general.
Mhm.
So we have few bright moments, and it's very we have many uncommon techniques used. Yeah, this is pretty uncommon stuff for an uncommon show, Star Wars
Mhm.
show. Like I'm talking like, unusual use of strings or sounds. The choir vibes are a little different to what we know so far in Star Wars. And yeah, I had to stop to listen some full blast Star Wars music.
Very nice.
But it's interesting because it's supposed to be to support the darkness in the show, and
Right.
how it's done is pretty good. I like the soundtrack in general and how it's executed in many ways.
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
have
like
some notes on some specific titles, but I'm not sure how to drop them in.
yeah,
But
yeah, just
you
go
know,
down your notes list or maybe pick a few that are like highlights for you.
oh yeah, okay. So the first one I noted was it's called Dark Master Descends, which
Mm,
we talked about when it was almost live,
yeah,
because it has this certain clarinet note, which is
right.
very an nod to the prequels. And then afterwards, there's a huge THX reference with the same technique of like.
Yes.
That's pretty nice.
It's very cool.
That's pretty. I think most of it is actually intended or like heavily influenced, and so um.
Yeah. I mean, as we talked about last week, like there are great minds in these rooms, in these production
Hmm.
rooms, and like collaborative efforts and input from a lot of different fields. Obviously like Lucasfilm or like Skywalker sound, like just
Mm-hmm.
that whole lineage of epicness, like that's all going to be a factor, you know,
Mm-hmm.
going forward. So yeah, I think you're right, dude. I think any subtle nods to things that we're picking up, almost all of them are probably intentional,
Mm-hmm.
they have to be.
Yeah. Especially I think the title's called A Horrifying Reveal.
Hmm.
It's just
That's a good
an
one.
addition to what we had last week, a mixture of sound effects and music.
Yep.
And I'm actually not sure if it's all music in this queue, but some sounds sound like sound effects, but that's the surfing line we discussed last week, I think.
Yeah. Well, in like the Mando soundtrack, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that being so new, like there was a lot of different sounds introduced, and
Mm-hmm.
so there is room for that in soundtrack. Just kind of like taking that blurry line that we talked about last week, just kind of taking it to another level.
I have a multicolored lightsaber battle, which is a nice title. Again,
Yeah,
the beginning has very strong Jaws vibes in the strings, like dun 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 dun
totally.
dun. There's some cues over it, and it's
Yeah.
a very heavy John Williams combat vibe, and I like that very much
Hmm.
because it has the essence of John Williams battle music,
Right.
which is pretty unique with all the kicks and the mixture and combination of sounds and instruments. It's pretty cool.
Hmm. In that like kind of Jawsy theme, that's kind of like in credits, or I guess it's really like the Acolyte theme,
Uh-huh.
but where you have the dun 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 dun, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a variation of that they're kind of playing. So that's kind of cool because obviously, like, you know, things are going down, right?
Yes.
So,
I was pretty happy when I like could imagine some of the scenes actually with music is at without seeing it.
mhm.
So in the title, "This Is Who You Are" is this heavy violin melody, um, which is a nice thing to have back in my head to learn it by heart
Mhm.
as any other theme. And so when Callow's theme arrived in the wake of the aftermath,
Dude,
etc., this is pretty cool.
yeah, yeah, it's kind of wild, and the fact that it was like um confirmed that was
Yeah.
intentionally, obviously, like
Mm-hmm.
this wasn't just some oversight or like happy accident, like they
Mm-hmm.
specifically put Kylo's theme there.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wrote down, so with many O's, Star Wars in the queue, have you told me everything in the beginning?
Nice.
Because I like, we talked about this for forever, but without being a copycat of John Williams and having, the own style brought into the music to
Mhm.
write for a Star Wars show or movie is so important. But when you have those full reminiscent moments, it's Star Wars,
Mhm.
you know.
Totally.
And it's a very nice feeling and a very satisfying feeling somehow.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm still looking for some of my notes, but you can jump in and tell some of your favorite moments. Maybe I'll find them.
yeah. So
Mm.
this, I have a lot of digging to do still, actually, on this one, but and I'm working on a breakdown for it. But it's the theme for the tree.
The
Um,
Boonta tree.
yes, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it's even the theme for this kind of like innocence
Mm-hmm.
of the sisters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, w- so and yeah, so the reason I have to do digging is because I don't know every track that has it in there. I'll need to like go back through those episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously the last time that we kind of hear an iteration of that is whenever they're saying goodbye, which is in,
Mm-hmm.
in the track farewell.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's that one toward, obviously at the end of the, soundtrack list. But yeah, so that theme is just so different and so like magical in a lot of ways. Like it,
Mm-hmm.
just like the orchestration and little motifs that we get for Anakin in episode one, like in Anakin's home, for
Mm-hmm.
example,
Mm-hmm.
like playful innocence and stuff. That's that's totally the vibe I get with this theme that we get for them, and like specifically at the tree. And what's really cool is I think there's a connection between that theme and the like sad OSHA quote unquote theme that we get like throughout the whole
Oh,
show.
interesting.
Yeah.
Makes total sense. It's her what's that? The place she goes to when she's, wants to be alone.
Right. Yeah. And so I think there's a musical connection, or like a musical what do you call it? Variation happening there, which
Mm-hmm.
obviously also connects to the Acolyte theme, like the
Mm-hmm.
darkest iteration of this kind of 4 note thing, 4 or 5 note thing. Um yeah, so I want to do some more digging on that, but that's kind of what my ear is telling
Mm-hmm.
me. Is like there is a connection between all of the themes that we've been talking about from the beginning, and then this like kind of more
Mm-hmm.
innocent
Mm-hmm.
free theme. So that's honestly like a highlight from the entire show for me, is
Mm-hmm.
that the sounds that accompany that tree, they're just like so,
Interesting.
yeah, like they're just so like nature evoking and like innocence,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
somehow. So yeah, there's that. And then obviously, like one of the last tracks, the Acolyte, um, slash homage to a master. I
Mm-hmm.
love that track so much. That track is just so good. Those are like definite definite highlights. I mean, we've talked about other highlights in all of our Acolyte breakdowns, but those are like my biggest ones, honestly. Like or for everything that I've gotten through so far, those are my biggest ones.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's still some tracks that I haven't listened to yet. It's just too much.
You think it's possible to do a live stream and then listen to the music and commenting it?
That would be fun.
That'd be a nice thing to do, actually.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm not
Let us
sure
know what
how.
you think, guys.
Yeah, let us know your thoughts on that. I'm not sure how that would go, like copyright wise, if there'd be any like red flags that would come up, but
Mm-hmm.
that would be fun.
I mean, other folks do it. Or we could do it as a Zoom session, like with an invite.
Yeah, maybe, or just on the SOMP YouTube,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. I have actually some digging to do as well because I'm still trying to find out how this clicking sound, this the metal clicks on any, what's that? It's not no bells, but some metal, somehow melodic metals instrument thingies. And I like that sound because it has a percussive and a melodic vibe to it. And I'm still not sure of its function.
Mhm.
So I have to dig for that as well.
Yeah, I would like to know as well. If you find that out, let me know.
Yeah, sure thing.
I might ask. There's a couple of composer friends that I have that would probably know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
So I should ask them too.
Do you have any new thoughts on when you listen to the album and then the Power of Two comes up?
Not really, actually.
I like the song and this James Bond vibe to it, but I'm still not sure if it's when you decided to do it in the first place, it's the good place to put it there. But to do it in general is my question mark that's not been solved.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different,
It's
dude.
Yeah,
We've
it's a new
never.
approach. Yeah.
It's a totally new approach. We've never had pop music
Mm-hmm. In
for it
English.
for an in credits
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely different, dude.
Mm. I'll give it some more time to decide.
Yeah, I mean, it has like the most plays on the entire album besides, well, no, yeah,
Yeah, sure
the
thing.
main Power of Two is at the very beginning of this album because that's the in credits version,
Oh
track 8 or
yeah.
whatever.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
That one
mm-hmm.
has, almost 1,200,000 plays.
Yeah, all
The
right.
the end credits version has 50,000 plays. Nothing is touching it. None of these other tracks
Interesting.
touch
Yeah.
those play amounts.
I mean, fans of Miss Monet are listening to it as well as Star Wars fans, so
It's different, dude. Yeah. I don't really have
interesting.
any like negative thought toward it just because it for me it's just so separate to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's such a separate thing in my head. So yeah, I don't know. It's like comparing apples and oranges, that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, 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 okay, I see. Makes sense. Dude, there's so much music.
I know.
It's
Looking at this
incredible.
album
Yeah.
now, I did forget to mention the very last track, which is titled "The Power of Many" / end title. I really like that one too. Specifically the end title section, and that's just because of my
Mm-hmm.
interaction with Michael Aples, and like he
Oh,
really
I
really
see. Yeah.
pumped me up for that, and it
Yeah.
delivered. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I do like that a lot.
I don't have it in my in mind like right now. But I talking of nods, when the choir from the Ascension is on, it's always Ewoks. Always Ewoks.
Yeah,
Always.
yeah, dude, absolutely.
And it's somehow giving Ewoks some more backstory to it.
I think so, man. Like,
Because it's like it's a natural like from nature coming sound, and that both of them are using it makes total sense.
yeah, well, and it even makes, like you said, kind of a possible lore connection between
Mm-hmm.
these like religious sects of force worshippers or whatever you want to call it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's kind of awesome.
I
I'm
mean,
here for the
you cannot
connection.
see him in one place like this Witch's clan and the Ewoks, but it's they must have picked maybe they picked it up like from someone, and then okay, that's our ritual to
Yeah,
say
I mean, there
it.
was like all kinds of species in this coven, right? Who's to say there wasn't like
Uh-huh.
a witch Ewok in the
Oh,
coven?
which Ewok? Yeah. Ewoks are actually never seen like in any canteen or background scene. You have
No.
so many aliens, but Ewoks are only on Endor.
Yeah, they're like
I
totally
mean, they don't,
native to Endor.
yeah,
Yeah.
don't have ships or anything.
Yeah, they seem pretty primal in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Cool.
So reading all this cues is like almost reading the scenes to each episode, which
Hmm.
is fun to do.
It is. It really
When you
is,
try
dude.
to like imagine the scene to this title,
Hmm.
it's a fun thing to do. I wonder if there ever will be a physical copy of it, like in a collector's edition or collector's box. But
That would
as
be
I
cool.
always ask for the 9 episodes Skywalker Saga Ultimate Music Collection. That's another one to the list
Yeah,
to manifest.
that would be cool, man. But the way things are going, I highly doubt it.
Yeah, so let's talk about it
Yeah,
because
would love to.
we've both seen the story of Amandla, and I'm trying to sort in my head the fact that people always say season 2 is canceled, but actually it was never green lighted. So it was always in any interview we knew that it was like designed for a second season, but it was never confirmed that we actually get a second season.
Well, I think the news is like it's not on the table. It's
Yeah,
no
like
longer
right
in
now.
question. It's not happening. Like that's
Yeah,
kind of what the news is. But it's easier to just say that it was canceled, instead of like
yeah.
a sentence headline, you just say it's canceled and point taken, right? So that's kind of the news. Um,
But in 5 to 10 years, we will get a second season.
I mean, that's the hope, man. Manny himself says like that, said that that's like one of his life goals is to make season 2 happen. Yeah.
You know, it's we all experienced what happened, and I don't want to like reshare it or anything, but this the all of this what is new needs some time to be processed by Star Wars fans in general. And it's not that it's like the perfect show or anything. Every Star Wars show, every Star Wars movie has flaws, and we adore it for that. But it was such a highly what's that, brave move to show it like this,
Mhm.
and how they did it in so many ways is so good and so refreshing to see. And there's so much potential that I think it's just a matter of time until we see some more of it, because it's the setup is very precious, and they still are releasing some Kanaka comics and High Republic stuff, probably leading into the Acolyte. But I'm hoping, and I'm actually pretty sure it's just a matter of time until we have a second season. In fact,
I
you
mean, I
know.
hope so, man. Like, I think a lot of people hope so, especially the cast and crew. But I'm honestly not very optimistic because of the news. To me, it just speaks that this like negative hype and stuff and like the critical reviews, the review bombing on like even the merchandise, dude. They're removing the merchandise because people are review bombing merchandise from the Acolyte. Like
For
because
real.
yes, because
Oh man.
the higher ups are like actually listening to this feedback and seeing these reviews, and they're not like in the cultural context of it. They just see the numbers. So
Hmm. Yeah.
and they're responding to that just like any business would, unfortunately. And freaking sucks. And it makes me not optimistic about a season 2.
Yeah. Totally. I still wish that, you know, it's a matter of trust and of being like standing for what you did and what you like put effort in it.
You'd think,
But
man.
it's the vibe to stay with the reaction of the people who consume it. But we all know that Star Wars has done some stuff many people didn't like, and will still be happening. And this is one big part of it, you
Yeah.
know.
Well, and that's kind of what I want to talk about, or unpack rather. Um, I
Hmm.
was I was looking at or looking up the Phantom Menace and like reviews of the Phantom Menace, and I found this thread um on a popular site from 10 years ago. So this was like this would be circa 2013, 2014, which is well after the Phantom Menace came out.
And just before the Force Awakens.
Yeah. When did the Force Awakens come out?
2015, 2015.
2015. Yeah, so like right before then. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was as speculation and everything, for new Star Wars was at its height,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Interesting.
Yeah, and literally across the board on this thread, some of the talking points for the Phantom Menace were it was all Jar Jar negative. Like
Still.
I wish we could petition. It was like stuff like I wish we could petition to just like get rid of Jar Jar in the film and like maybe like just like replace the dialogue so that way he's not even in those scenes or it was
Mm-hmm.
just like weird stuff like that. Or it was this like I copied and pasted this person's comment, which a bunch of people were agreeing on. This is the comment. Anakin sucked. Qui-Gon sucked. Obi-Wan was underwhelming. The only good thing was Maul in the end fight scene. Hated Jar Jar. He is pointless in the movie.
You want to go home and rethink your life, man.
Dude, like, what? This is like 2013, 2014. This. And like just me, which as everyone hopefully knows by now, The Phantom Menace is my favorite movie.
Oh,
Like,
what is it?
yeah, it really is. um, I haven't told you before. Oh, let me talk about The Phantom Menace really quick, everyone. No, I'm kidding. Um,
What
yeah.
how what do you think how old the person is, right, or who wrote the comment?
Oh, that would be interesting to know.
Because in my
Obviously,
experience, most prequel hating people are the ones who were privileged to see the OT in the cinemas, you know?
That seems to be the, yeah, like the correlation.
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad, who grew up with Star Wars, and he never heard a peep of that kind of thing, actually. Like, he
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed all of it, through and through, even up through the stuff. He's all caught up now. Like, he's
Mm-hmm.
loved it, and like has taken it for what it is. So, but yeah, you're right. Like, the correlation is the people who really hate the prequels tend to be that age group, or maybe even a little younger, like maybe like born in like the mid 80s or something. Like, that
Yeah,
seems to
yeah, yeah, for
be
sure.
like the
Yeah.
correlation. Like, my whole thing is, and I'm gonna make a few videos about this, but like, my whole thing is, if you watch Star Wars as if it's history, right? Like, you're
Mm-hmm.
watching, like, say, like a history documentary,
Mm-hmm.
right? You have like a completely different viewing process,
Mm-hmm.
because like, it's not a matter of like your headcanon
Expectation. Yeah.
competing
Mm-hmm.
with creative
Mm-hmm.
forces and stuff, like, or like your interpretation of religion or something. Like, you're watching history,
Mm-hmm.
even though, like, yeah, like, there's some weird stuff in history that's like confusing as hell, and like this doesn't make any sense. Like, what? Or like, you don't have all the connecting dots yet.
Like
Whereas,
technically, Mozart and George Washington could have shaken hands.
yeah, like stuff like this, right? Like, that's very bizarre to me. I've never heard that before. That's
I
so
just read
strange.
it yesterday.
Um, or yeah, just like completely random stuff, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's history. And maybe there's a whole like rabbit hole we could go down of history being written by the victor, and like different
Yeah, yeah,
events in
yeah.
history.
Mhm.
But I think at the end of the day, like, yeah, like maybe there's like some erased bits of history that resurface, but like, that's still history too, right?
True.
Like, it all
Mm-hmm.
plays together. Like there are canon events, or whatever, I don't know, however you want to describe that. And you know so what that really actually means then for Star Wars is that there are no plot holes, just like there's no plot holes in history,
You've pitched it before, yeah, and I like the thought.
right?
Yeah,
Like, there are no
yeah.
plot holes. Like, we can,
Mm-hmm.
if we have some creative thinking and imagination, we can make all of this work and flow together. And that's what they're doing right now. That's what Filoni and Quill
Yeah,
are doing. So,
and I still managed to watch it like a 12-year-old or like a child because that's how it's supposed to be, how it was like produced for those kids without too many preoccupations, etc. To just be open and be excited about new Star Wars and see what you like and what you don't.
yeah, man.
And I'm
um
actually so tired of all this. This is bullshit Star Wars. It should be removed from canon, blah, blah, blah. I'm so tired of these conversations.
Dude, I know, I just saw, maybe it was you that sent it to me. I just saw this petition.
Can you move it to that way?
Oh yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah,
On
go.
literally change.org, like the same
Yeah.
change.org that you use for like actual like things that need
Actual
change.
petitions. Yeah.
Right. For anyone who obviously you can't see that, it's a petition to decanonize the Acolyte, and it has tens of thousands of reactions on it, and like lots of comments and
They
stuff.
tried to do it with the sequels as well and try to say that Filoni is I don't want to talk about it.
Well,
It's
dude. Well, no, this is important to talk about, because here's kind of where I'm getting with this, is like them quote unquote canceling season two, them removing merchandise, dude,
Mhm.
because of the review bombing of the merchandise, and like whatever. Like, that means, I don't know, in my opinion, this, could happen. If what they're telling us is that they're looking at the numbers, etc., and like actually removing merchandise and canceling stuff, well, yeah, who's to say that
but
they won't uncanonize this or something?
but it would be a matter of like one click, just as they did with the expanded universe. But same hand, it would be like the admission of a big fail that they did and invested money in it. And
Which, dude, again, I feel like they're not. I feel like them doing everything they've done so far is that, like them canceling it or them removing merchandise. I guess nothing is in question for me. Like they're not above any or not below anything. I don't know whichever way you want to put that, but like they canceled the Star Wars hotel, right? The Halcyon. They totally canceled that, and it wasn't even open for a
yeah,
year, I don't think. So like they're not beyond that, I guess is
I
what I'm fearing.
yeah, I said this in a different setting, but I have the feeling that it's the time of Star Wars fans to be patient begins, or is like right now, because the people who didn't know if any new Star Wars would be produced, like after Return of the Jedi survived those 20 years,
Mhm.
and we are fortunate to get new Star Wars, and I'm pretty excited for the Skeleton Crew, etc. But um, obviously things that are announced could not be produced in general, but they could still reappear when it's the time for it. So that makes me pretty. I'm very optimistic person, so I want to see some stuff, and I'm very patient for it, and I'm pretty sure that when in maybe 5 to 10 years, the kids who saw the sequels in the movies have some adult money and spend it on stuff, we will get some new merch and new sequel vibes, just as we got with the prequels right now.
I hope, man. I really hope so.
And it's
Because yeah,
just a matter of us fans to like stand for what's right in terms of not spreading hate and not like getting hate through us. And that's feels the right thing to do right now, you know?
yeah, yeah, man. I guess I guess what really bums me out, because that right there is my general compose or demeanor when it comes to Star Wars and like the
Hmm.
future of Star Wars. But what's different this time is the review bombing and incessant like complaining before before the show aired.
Hmm.
It already was review bombed like crazy. Same thing with the merchandise. Like people aren't like going out to get this merchandise. Like people are just review bombing the merchandise to review bomb it. And it's
I
like this feels different to me.
yeah, and I don't know. I still don't know how to think about it, but I'm pretty convinced that some bots are involved in everything of this.
Hmm.
You know, as a Western phenomenon to be sabotaged.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's not out of the realm of
You know,
possibility,
because
obviously.
obviously we have some major I don't actually know how to call them, people who have big reach and tell shit, and people believe it because they're not experienced in Star Wars, and that's a huge part of it as well. But I'm still like, I wouldn't be surprised if in some time there's an article saying, okay, there has been some misguided information from blah 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 with the Acolyte in Star Wars, And now I'm
Yeah.
gonna put my alloy hat away and be a normal person again. But it feels too strong and too overpowered to be like just people. They're just people, like in the Rise of Skywalker.
I mean,
Um,
at the same time, dude, like our culture right now, kind of across the board, is a very polarized one,
that's true. Yeah, that's true.
and with like the internet and social media, like that stuff can really be amplified and encouraged a lot more
Hmm.
than previous years. And so, yeah, I mean, there could be a bot factor, but I actually do think the majority of this weight is just people, giving into the dark side, like just
Yeah, and investing so much time to do it.
yeah. I mean, that's really. it's too consistent, I guess, and like too yeah, I don't know, the weight and the loudness of it is too consistent.
Yeah, it's
Um
true.
and also like, you have people that are like in the comments now, it's not a lot of straight up vitriol. There's still a lot of it, but it's not all vitriol. It's a lot of I'm seeing a lot of like, well, it wasn't for everyone, but like the views sucked and like the writing was kind of bad and this and that. So, it is what it is, and like business is business. Like people are trying to like have that kind of a spin,
Mm.
um, which is arguably, someone trying to like, you know,
Get
bridge the
confirmation for
gaps.
not liking it. So,
Yeah, well, yeah,
but
and
actually, there are
it's like,
people that like it, and they should be allowed to like it and
so
not
yeah, I
be.
mean, yeah, there's that. Absolutely that. Like people should be allowed to like this. And if you didn't like if you thought Anakin sucked and Obi-Wan was underwhelming and you thought Jar Jar was pointless in the Phantom Menace, okay, well, like that's you. Um, you all, and like there's an entire generation of prequel loving kids
Mm-hmm.
that freaking loved it. So yeah, there's that side of it. But also it's not just that. Even if all of those things were true, right? We're like, yeah, like okay, maybe the viewership did die off and like kind
Mm-hmm.
of like decline as the show went on, or like maybe, yeah, like maybe the writing was kind of elementary, or whatever your talking point is there. Like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
fine.
Mm-hmm.
However, explain to me the review bombing before the show was even out.
Yeah.
Explain to me like
Yeah.
the merchandise situation. Like
Yeah.
this it's
That's
not
new.
just that. It's not just that. So there's definitely some like hate aspect going on here.
Yeah. And again, we are spoiled because we get so much new Star
Yeah.
Wars stuff, and we should appreciate this in general, and maybe just take a step back of thinking too much about it.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking about this phenomenon of Star Wars in general for people who are not that much into it as we are. Because a friend of mine was asking, yeah, what in which order should I watch and what should I watch and whatnot. And Ahsoka, for instance, is a total nerd show for Star Wars fans. And
Totally.
the Acolyte had heavy promotion, like in general on billboards, etc. But I'm not sure if it's a show for people that might be interested in Star Wars or like could be drawn to it, because The Mandalorian drew people to it into Star Wars, into seeing this as the first Star Wars,
Mhm.
and they might have to try with the same with the Acolyte. And the show itself is not. I mean, it's obviously Star Wars because we see lightsabers in the first place, but it's too much of an what's it called, edgy show, and it was daring to try out new stuff. That it's maybe just over promoted for people who wouldn't watch Star Wars at all, and they should be not forced to watch it. But you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, like yeah, we didn't in terms of marketing,
Mm-hmm.
which I think it was a lot of where that $180 million budget came from.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of that big number, along with like the practical sets and everything, I think a lot of that um, was marketing. I would still, not to go on a tangent really quick, but I would still like to see a breakdown of that humongous budget. I mean, that's a
Mm-hmm.
massive budget,
Mm-hmm.
um, compared to like Andor or something, right? For like 8 episodes. And the reason I want to see that is because I'm wondering if there was like a more of a fair pay um effect on that budget, right? Like if the special effects crews and like the crew members and stuff, like if there is a, with all of the like strikes and things and like the
Mm-hmm.
writer strike, for example, like if there was like
Mm-hmm.
a fair pay
Mm-hmm.
attention to the
Mm-hmm.
crew and everyone, like if that had a factor in the budget, like that would actually be really awesome to see.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to see that. So yeah, marketing, we definitely did not have as much marketing for like Ahsoka or Andor as we did the Acolyte. That's totally true, and
Mm-hmm.
could explain the downward line in terms of viewership throughout the season, right? If
Yeah, totally.
people are like, okay, yeah, like I'm gonna check this out. Okay, cool. All right, this is getting a little too like sci-fi space wizard for me. Like
Yeah.
I'm out. Like, totally. I could see that.
You know, the spiritual part of it is pretty big
Yeah,
of this show,
that's another huge thing. Yeah,
and that's not for everyone because
yeah.
you have so many layers of everything going on in that.
Hmm.
Um, you know.
Yeah.
Plus it's I mean it's in on Disney Plus it's announced as mystery, which is a genre of Star Wars which is pretty new and it's not for everyone as well. Because it's so dark and we have like breaking necks and
Right.
not a very broad majority be drawn to it probably.
Yeah, perhaps, man. Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I'm so excited for the not yeah, I'm excited for the plot of the Mando and Grogu movie,
Oh,
but
for sure.
it's time for Star Wars being on the big screen again and for people going actually to the cinema to meet the other people, to get in touch with people and having an event to watch new Star Wars.
Yeah.
And the time of don't want to say too many shows, but many shows might be over and maybe time for a mixture of shows and movies.
Well, that's definitely the direction they're headed. Like they're sticking with
Yeah,
just one live action TV show a year instead of like trying to crank out multiple throughout the
yeah.
year. So yeah, they're definitely pivoting in that way. I guess like the biggest takeaway for the fans who want to enjoy Star Wars, right? That's a whole
Hmm.
other conversation.
Mhm.
For the fans who want to enjoy Star Wars, I think the biggest roadblock for people is your headcanon and your expectation leading up to the event, right?
Mhm.
And giving it some bar to live up to or not. I think that's really the roadblock.
Mhm.
Or I think that's like a key to the roadblock that, you know, the fandom is experiencing when it comes to new Star Wars. Like whenever you think as a kid, you watching the Phantom Menace, right? Um, you didn't have like some, you know, full on headcanon and expectation going into it. You just experienced it. And
Mhm.
and you experienced it as if you were watching history unfold,
Mhm.
right? There
Mhm.
was no question about is
Mhm.
this legitimate or not, or like,
Mhm.
oh, like this is like not what I expected, or like there wasn't any of that
Mhm.
for us as prequel kids. Like we experienced these things as canon events, and
Mhm.
they fit into the bigger picture because it's the bigger picture. Like this is history that we're watching. So I think that's the key. Like if the fandom is going to healthily move forward, I think that's the only way, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, the point is reached where people who are actually into Star Wars for a long time take a break from it, and it's totally legitimate to do it. I mean, it's not an option for me because I'm a diehard would
Right.
will watch anything, but um the history which is out there and you like, you can still watch it over and over again. And if you don't want to get to the buffet and grab some new Star Wars bits and bytes, that's okay. And maybe you will come back and I will be welcoming any Star Wars fan, old or new, you know, because
Yeah.
I adore to talk about Star Wars in many ways, but I'm so tired of always having to put the counterweight on negative discussions which are not like have a foundation in their opinion and just being I don't like it and
Yeah.
being in this whole world of the person itself,
Right.
you know. When you talk of Jar Jar Binks, that's the first creature that has been fully CGI in movie history. So if you see it on this side, it's pretty fascinating. If you even if you don't like the comic side of it, that's a
Yeah.
huge deal.
Dude, it should have been an absolute like revelatory celebration for the time instead
Yep.
of the like controversial,
Yeah. But
topic.
Star Wars is luckily and unfortunately too big for this because it is huge fandom and it's a huge like mixture of people and their knowledge and their wishes and their expectations for it. And I'm sticking to the to what people know and I don't, and to what people don't like, and I try to find out why they don't like it. But if I realize it's just a very in the foreground, I don't want to even say stance, because the stance has to has a foundation, and that's missing for a very long time. Which does not mean that I am claiming to have, like, no one has the right to knows everything about Star Wars or be the ultimate fan. But if you're in the game for a little longer and you try and you give it some time to spend in different directions and different, departments of the movies, and experience many things of it, you get a broader view of more than just the story, or more just the costumes, or more just anything.
Right.
And this gives you more opportunities to like stuff that you don't like from other perspectives.
Totally. Well put. That feels like a pretty good
Ending for a session.
stopping point. Yeah.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm totally exhausted. By the way, I've been teaching for 8 hours. I need to catch a train, but
Yeah, dude.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was a good session,
it was. Yeah, dude.
and
Yeah.
it was necessary.
Yeah. Have a good night, of course. And I feel just exhausted about this topic. It's just been so
Mm-hmm.
heavy on my mind recently, and I'm just like exhausted as a Star Wars fan.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that side of exhaustion too. But yeah, yeah. You want to close this out?
I try to. um, Thank you for tuning in again today on SOMP 80.5. And be sure to follow us on the socials, on the socials, on Ashton's YouTube and Instagram, of course. Check our YouTube, check the hologram sessions, play it in the
Yeah.
background if you throw a party, if you are driving. No, not while you're driving, but when you share it with your friends.
That's
Go
right.
tell everyone about some who might be interested in Star Wars music, and to guys chatting about it. And thank you for all your responses, your messages. Keep them up. Keep
Yeah.
sending us voice messages, and we should think about merch in the near future. Starting to think about it.
Yeah. I have a plethora of ideas. So
Good.
yeah, dude. We'll get there.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Looking forward for the next Song Saturday, and may the joy and the love for Star Wars be with you always.